Once again, welcome back to the program. Our existence depends upon water, and what we are finding today that because of the change in the environment, water is becoming scarce and scarce. What needs to be done, and especially living over in British Columbia and Canada, we feel that we have lots of resources of water, but is it true? How we can conserve and how we can play a part in helping those people who are facing this scarcity of water. We'll talk to Karen Wristen. She is from Living Oceans and she lives in Bowen Island. What's the situation over there, and how about in BC and also in Canada, what can be done? Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you. So let's start from your place where you live. So of course, water, wherever we are, we need water to survive. So in that particular area where you are living, where does the water come from, and over the years, has it been an issue over there where you talk about such kind of topics?
It has been. On our island, we draw our drinking water from lakes, so we're dependent on rainfall and the forest to moderate the rainfall in order to keep our lakes full. And for many, many years, that's been fine, but Bowen's population is growing, and as you say, the climate's changing. We've had much hotter summers lately. And the last few years, we've seen creeks that have never dried up in anybody's memory go completely dry. And we always have a water rationing along about August.
Right.
And so, people have to be reminded constantly not to waste the water then. It's becoming more and more of an issue, and there's really no other place for us to get our water, so we've got to learn how to deal with it.
Okay. And when we talk about wastage of water, as far as we British Columbians or Canadians are concerned, are we thinking on these issues, or still it's because we have abundance of water and we don't give any care to this particular topic?
It's a funny thing. Canadians understand the problem with water. They value it and they think that it should be conserved. But if you ask them what they do about conserving it, it's really quite funny. They don't give a second thought to how much water they use. We're in fact one of the largest consumers of water per capita in the entire world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's just we are giving lip service, but we're not doing much to, kind of play our part in this.
It's true. People just don't connect the dots. It's so easy to put on a water-saving shower head, or put a rock in your toilet tank, or put a rainwater collection barrel on your downspout from your eaves trough.
But Karen, in this we find that, well, of course, the people are not doing, but has some initiative been taken by organizations or the government to create that kind of awareness among the people?
A little bit. Here in Vancouver, the situation isn't as bad in the greater Vancouver area, but there are still times when there are water shortages and the city says don't water your lawn every day and that sort of thing. So the city of Vancouver proper has a program where you can get a low price rainwater collection barrel to put on the side of your house, just to remind you to use that water for your garden and whatnot. But much more needs to be done. We need water metering throughout this area. I know it's not very popular with people, but once you put a meter on there and remind people that there's value to this thing, they tend to use less. And when you think about the enormous cost of filtering water to the point where it's safe for human consumption, we don't need to be wasting it.
So as far as we have abundance of water in Canada, but internationally what we are finding in lots of places that water is becoming a major scarcity, and what is being said is the next wars are going to be on water, not on even oil also. What do you say about it?
Well, I'm very much afraid that it's true, and the reason for that is going to be the general warming of the climate. You've probably heard all the recent news about the snowpack in the Rocky Mountains being much smaller than it has been.
And even the Arctic belt also is melting at a fast pace.
The Arctic's melting, all the glaciers are pulling back, and this is going to result in shortages all over the place, but I mean there are particular areas that are going to be very hard hit. They're going to be turned into deserts. And so people are going to be having to look beyond national borders for water. I mean, it's no great stretch of the imagination when you see how much water the United States is using and how frequently they want to develop schemes to bring water from Canada. We may be good friends and neighbors, but some borders are not so friendly, and it will cause war, and it's expected that it will cause disease and a lot of human suffering as well.
And as you mentioned that the global climate environment temperature is going up, so with that the oceans are also rising, and over the years, because with Living Oceans you have been working for a long time, how serious is a threat if this water level increases in the oceans?
It's a very serious threat. I don't want to tell anybody it's a threat they're going to experience tomorrow. It's a long-term threat. But the oceans have been rising for all the time that we've been pumping carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. They're going to rise more quickly in the future because as more ice melts away, more dark blue water absorbs more of the sun's rays, the Earth warms faster. So it's like a cycle that feeds itself and speeds up.
Okay.
So they're going to start rising more. How much more? Scientists vary. But I know that the province of British Columbia has recently suggested to all of the coastal municipalities that they start planning for a 1 meter rise in sea level right now.
Okay. And also because as the temperature is going up, similarly the oceans are also getting warmer. What is that? And again, is it a major threat there also?
It is, and it's one that we don't have a very good handle on. Fish species tend to go for the temperature of water that they like.
Right.
So as the ocean currents are changing and the temperature of those currents are changing, the species are moving around all kinds of places that they've never been before. If you talk to the fishermen there, they're finding, you know, here on the BC coast, anchovies that we used to have occasionally when we had a very warm spell, but in much greater numbers than ever were here before.
Right.
Sardines, they're thinking of starting a sardine fishery, you know. So some good things, some things come to us that we might like,
Right.
but other things like the salmon perhaps are finding the water too warm, and so they don't come back to their streams the way
Right.
they used to. This is going to disrupt food patterns and livelihoods all over the world as it continues to happen.
So it's a major threat, but probably right now the governments are not paying much attention, and especially when you talk about Canada. And as far as environment is concerned, our government doesn't seem to be much interested in this particular issue. So what do you foresee, and how can the common person also play their role in this, creating awareness, number one, because at times of elections these issues are not talked about, whereas these are major threats as you are talking, and even the statistics which are coming out. So how can the common person also pressurize their representatives to at least start talking on these issues, so that when time comes we are ready to face that kind of eventuality?
Well, you know, every citizen can start at the very local level to talk with the leaders of their town or city or whatever they may live in, to make sure that the decisions that are made locally are made to reduce the need for transportation. It's our number one way of warming up the planet, is getting in our car and going somewhere, right? So we want to buy locally, we want to create small, complete towns. That's a really powerful tool, because that represents so much of the greenhouse gases that we put out, right?
Right.
So if we start there, the next step is voting. The next step is
Very right.
figuring out who your candidates are and telling them,
Right.
I want you to take action on climate change. The current Liberal government in BC has set some targets for BC and has made us a leader.
Right.
They're unfortunately not doing anything about those targets, and they need to be reminded.
Right.
Nationally, we've got a real problem.
Right.
Need I say more?
Absolutely.
This
And
government.
we all need to pressurize and talk about more about these issues, so that our representatives also understand, because they are also not separate from us, they are a part of us, and we are the ones who have selected them and sent them over there.
Exactly. So we just need to keep talking.
Thank you very much for your time.